Today I'm going to take a look at a Unix operating system called OpenIndiana. This is my first time ever looking at OpenIndiana. OpenIndiana is based on the old OpenSolaris operating system. I never ran OpenSolaris either, so this will be something brand new for me, so I'm looking forward to this. Let's take a look. OpenIndiana. What is OpenIndiana? Well, let's read a little bit from distrowatch.com, the OpenIndiana page over there. OpenIndiana is a continuation of the OpenSolaris operating system. It was conceived during the period of uncertainty following the Oracle takeover of Sun Microsystems. So, OpenSolaris was a project of Sun Microsystems. Oracle bought Sun. And then they really just kind of discontinued the OpenSolaris project. So developers took the code, forked it, and created OpenIndiana out of OpenSolaris. So that is where OpenIndiana really got its start. As Oracle discontinued OpenSolaris soon after in favor of Solaris 11 Express, a binary distribution with a more closed development model, yada yada yada. Anyway, OpenIndiana was forked, as a free and open kind of operating system as part of the Illumos Foundation and provides a true open source community alternative to Solaris 11. So you can read more about this on the DistroWatch page. Of course, I'm sure you can find a lot more information about OpenIndiana on their website, OpenIndiana.org. You probably could find a little bit of the history of how OpenIndiana came about on Wikipedia as well. I'm actually going to go to the OpenIndiana.org website here. I know the latest release of this thing is several months old, so there's probably going to be a newer release out, soon, because this release was back in April of 2018 called Hipster, OpenIndiana Hipster 2018.04. If I go to the release announcements here, anyway, none of this, of course, is new. It's several months old now. Nothing of note really here. But again, it's an operating system I've never taken a look at on the channel. I've had people, viewers, request me to look at OpenIndiana. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and download OpenIndiana Hipster 2018.04. I'm going to pull down that ISO, and I'm going to install OpenIndiana inside a virtual machine. All right. So I downloaded the ISO. The ISO for this particular version, 2018.04, codename Hipster, was 1.5 gigs in size. So not the smallest ISO, but not terribly large. Today I'm going to be installing this inside VirtualBox. So I've already created a virtual machine. I gave this machine 2 cores of my 6-core CPU, gave it 4 gigs of RAM, and I gave it a 25 gig virtual hard drive, because I wasn't sure about space for this particular operating system. Again, I don't know anything about it, so I wanted to give it plenty of space here. Alright, so the boot menu here. Welcome to Illumos. Boot multi-user, boot single-user, escape to loader prompt, reboot, configure boot options, chain load, select OpenIndiana extras. I'm just going to choose the first option. Boot multi-user. And hopefully this should boot us into a live environment. But I'm not sure. Again, I don't know anything about this particular operating system. I never ran OpenIndiana before. I never ran OpenSolaris before OpenIndiana. So, all right. So language. To select a language you wish, enter a number. The default is number 7, which is English. So the default is fine for me. So. Alright, user selected English. Configuring devices. Okay. So this is taking a second to load. And we wait. And we wait. I may have to pause the video here. I'm not sure what's going on. I'll pause the video. I'll come back once it finishes doing whatever it's doing. Alright, it completed what it was doing, and it looks like it's trying to boot us into some kind of graphical environment here. The screen changed resolution. And we wait again. Alright, there we go. Oh, and it is using Mate for its desktop environment. I actually was not even paying attention to exactly what it was using as far as a desktop environment. It looks like Mate. So, alright, so this is of course a live environment. Let me resize this so you guys can see it, since it's no VirtualBox guest editions or anything installed on this thing. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to try to find the installer. The installer, well, there's an icon right here. Install OpenIndiana. We also have another one. Install OpenIndiana using the text installer. The graphical installer is fine for me. I'll just choose this option here. So if I double click it. Did I not click it? It's hard to tell. We're getting no information. There it goes. Now I've got the little watch symbol on the desktop. Alright, so the OpenIndiana installer mentions that we're, of course, super user. Of course, we have to be root to do this install. Alright, thanks for choosing to install the OpenIndiana OS. Before you start, review the release notes for this release, yada yada yada. I'm not going to bother doing that on camera. I'm just going to choose next. Alright, the disk that I want to install it, there's only one disk on this virtual machine, virtual hard disk, the 25 gig virtual disk that I created. Do I want to use the whole disk? Yes, I do. But if I did not want to do that, there is the partition the disk option where we could, set up manual partitions. I'm going to use the whole disk though. I'm going to click next. Alright, time zone, date, somewhere in the central time zone in the US would be good for me. If I can choose it. I'm not sure if any of that does anything. Can I zoom in? I mean, what's going on here? Not exactly sure how this is supposed to work. Chicago would work for me. Anyway, I'm just going to click next. I don't know if any of that did anything. I'm sure I could always set the time zone later after the installation has completed. Alright, default language support. Obviously, I need English. That's already been selected, so good on that. We need to enter a root password for this system, so give it a strong and complicated password. Confirm that strong and complicated password. Alright, create a user account for yourself. So our standard user, I'm going to call that standard user DT. Our login name is DT. And then I need to create a strong and complicated password for the DT user. Alright, click next. Alright, review everything. 25 gig disk. The disk will be erased. The whole installation will take 5.9 gigs of hard disk space. And it did choose America, Chicago for the time zone. I wish it would, give you a little more information on the screen with that map. I mean, you're clicking things, and I guess it's selecting it, but you don't really know. So other than that, the installer seems to be pretty good, intuitive, straightforward. But I don't like the time zone selection. I'm going to click install. It's going to format the drive right to the disk. And on most Linux operating systems, this portion of the install takes between 5 and 10 minutes to complete. I'm not sure about OpenIndiana. It's not really a Linux distribution. This is a Unix operating system. But I'm going to pause the video while the installation completes. Alright, and the installation has completed. That installation did take a little longer than most Linux installs. It took about 18 minutes for that portion of the installer to complete. As always, when you install a new operating system, you have to reboot the machine. That's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, and this is my freshly installed OpenIndiana 2018.04, codenamed Hipster. I will mention, for those of you that try this out, at least in VirtualBox, the very first time you reboot after installation takes a long time. It takes 2 or 3 minutes for it to boot up that initial time after the installation. It mentions something in the output that it needs to load about 182 modules or processes or something related to SMF. SMF is OpenIndiana's init system, I believe. Anyway, the very first time, though, takes a couple of minutes to boot up. After that, though, I rebooted it a couple of more times, and it boots up pretty fast after that initial one. So, anyway, the desktop. A very traditional layout, very old school GNOME 2 layout here in Mate. We have an applications menu here. And in the applications menu, we have accessories. Under accessories, we have our character map. We have a desktop search utility. We have ngrandpa, which is the archive manager for the Mate desktop environment. This is ngrandpa 1.18.4. You would use ngrandpa for zip, unzip, tar.gz, those kinds of compressed files. We have the Mate calculator, standard calculator. This is Mate calculator 1.18.2, so a little bit different version number than the archive manager. Mate font viewer, Mate search tool, which is, I believe, just a file search utility. So you can search files and directories on your file system. And then we have Pluma, the text editor, our plain text editor for the Mate desktop environment. Pluma 1.18.4, small and lightweight text editor. Also under accessories, we have our screenshot utility. Under graphics, we have nothing really. The Eye of Mate image viewer and the Mate color selection utility. Now, this is a really nice color selection utility. You have your color palette here you can choose from. Of course, you can play around with the colors here, and you can also do this really cool thing with this eyedropper. You click the eyedropper and then click anywhere on your screen. I'm going to choose this light blue area. You guys are not going to see it because I'm not capturing the cursor on the screen, but I'm going to click the wallpaper. And you see the blue of the wallpaper? It chose that. Now I have that color right here. Pretty cool little tool. I actually did not tell OBS not to capture the cursor in this screen. I'm not sure why it's not picking it up. Anyway, I'm going to go with it. I apologize if it's kind of strange that you're not seeing a mouse cursor on this, but I'm not going to take the time to figure out what the problem is. Under Internet, we have the Avahi server, SSH and VNC servers. We have Firefox as our web browser. I believe OpenIndiana uses Firefox ESR, the extended support release Firefox. So, also since it is a older ISO, the ISO is about 5-6 months old now. It's going to be an older version of Firefox. So if I go to the question mark here and about Firefox, yep, Firefox ESR 52.7.3, 32-bit edition. I might have, did I download a 32-bit image? I don't think I did. I'm not even sure if they offer 32-bit image for this. I would have to check. You know what, while I'm here, let me pull up a file manager really quick and let me make sure I did not download a 32-bit image by mistake. It doesn't mention anything about being a 32-bit image. That's strange that I have 32-bit Firefox though. Alright. Also under Internet, we have Pigeon for our instant messaging client. We have Thunderbird, which is our email client, and Tiger VNC viewer for remote desktop. Tiger VNC is a really nice remote desktop utility. I'm not going to play around with it here on camera. Right, Office. Office, we don't have any kind of real Office suite. No LibreOffice here. I'm sure we could install it, but on the ISO, nothing. We have our document viewer for viewing, PDFs, and the Mate dictionary. Under programming, we have a program called Glade. Let's see what Glade is. And we're conducting a user survey. I don't want to participate in that. I just want to see what Glade is. Glade 3.18.3, a user interface designer for GTK Plus and GNOME. So it's for development for GTK apps. Alright, close that. Sound and video, not much here. Brasero for our disk burning utility, the standard disk burner in the GNOME desktop environment. Brasero 3.12.1, not a bad disk burning utility. Alright, also under sound and video we have CD Ripper. That's strange to include CD Ripper. Especially these days. Not too many people use CDs or DVDs anymore, and very few people have the need to rip music off of CD anymore. But they have Sound Juicer here, which I've used Sound Juicer many years ago in the past. It's fine for ripping music off a CD, but again, it's strange. I mean, this is 2018. Probably you could leave that off the image. And then, of course, we have the sound, change the volume and sound on your system here. System tools, we have Avahi again, Kaja, which is our file manager in Mate, standard file manager. Kaja 1.18.5. Also, system tools, we have our device driver utility. Let's see what this is. Maybe this would install, some of our hardware driver, our system drivers, maybe even like third-party proprietary drivers. I'm not sure. Well, it says a device driver utility. I think it just lists the drivers currently in use on the system. Not really sure. I'm going to close that for now. Alright, so also under System Tools we have gparted. Gparted is fine on a live image. You probably, on a already installed distribution, you probably want to get rid of gparted, because you really don't need to be editing your partitions on a installed operating system. Now on the live image it makes sense because you oftentimes use live images for system rescue. We have our log file viewer, we have a manage printing utility, we have the Monty disk usage analyzer, the Monty system monitor. Let's click that, see what kind of system resources we're using here in OpenIndiana Monty. CPU's pretty low, around 5-6%. Maybe a little higher than I would expect because we're really not doing anything, although we do have quite a bit of stuff going on in the sys tray up here. But anyway. So CPU, single digit percentages. Memory's also high. Wow, memory 1.6 gigs of 4 gigs that I gave this virtual machine. So something is going on in the background that's using some CPU and some RAM. If I go to processes, maybe we can figure this out. So let's sort by how much memory is being used here. Wonder if I can make this full screen, maybe I can see it a little better. So yeah, 169 megs is the biggest process. That's Xorg. I can't kill that. We have the Monty settings daemon also taking up a little bit of RAM. I really wouldn't want to kill that. Pulse audio. It's taking up a lot of RAM. I can't kill that. Well, I guess I could in this VM. I'm not doing anything with audio, but we'll just let it go for now. We have the Monty Terminal. I wonder if I have HTOP here. No, probably not. I will do a quick update, just checking some of the documentation for OpenIndiana. They use a package manager called pkg, so sudo pkg, and I think update will actually update the system. Give it the root password. And I'm not sure how long this will take. My first time ever using this particular distribution and this package manager. It's creating a plan. Yeah, this may take a few seconds. I'll pause the video. Alright, it looks like something's happening here. It took a couple of minutes for, I guess, OpenIndiana to do whatever it was doing, maybe syncing some repos or something. And it's like, packages to update. Oh wow, 540 packages to update, 22 to install. Wow, if I'd have known that, I probably wouldn't have run that update. I just wanted to see if that was the correct command, really, sudo pkg update. That's going to take a little while. You know what? Just going to let that run. I'm going to minimize that. Yeah, okay. So, and what else have we got here? Of course, that was the Monty Terminal power stats. We also had Xterm installed on the system. I'm going to go back to another instance of the Monty Terminal here. I'm going to do a uname-a. Does that give us any kind of information? Yeah, Sun OS, OpenIndiana 5.11, Illumos i386. So this is a 32-bit, yeah. So maybe they only do 32-bit only. I'm not sure on that. That's strange. Regardless, 32-bit, 64-bit. Again, this is just my first time looking at OpenIndiana, and I was only going to do a quick look at it in VirtualBox. I'm not actually going to install it on physical hardware. Not something that really interests me as far as putting it on a real machine. Another thing I might take a look at is, I mentioned PKG. I know it's running that update, but let's do a package search. PKG search. Firefox. I mean, could I get something more recent than Firefox 52, version 52 ESR? And yeah, there's a few things I could get. They're all Firefox 52 though. They're all the ESR. Unfortunately, I mentioned something like HTOP earlier. I mean, it's not really a Linux distribution, but it's Unix based. OpenIndiana is HTOP available. So PKG search HTOP. And HTOP is there to install. I believe it's sudo pkg. I'm not sure if I can do it while I update, but sudo pkg install HTOP. Yeah, I can't do that right now because, of course, the package manager is busy updating the system, but that was the correct command. So pretty cool stuff on that. Also at the top, this is going to be strange because for some reason my cursor is not being captured here in the stream, but up at the top we have our network manager. We have this clock here. I'm not sure what this is. Configure time slider. What is this? As user or role, so it's running as root, whatever this is. I'm not sure what the time slider is. It doesn't give me any information really what this is. And clicking it does nothing. Right clicking it just gives me configure time slider. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, we also have our volume control, power. So if we do power management preferences, I'm not on a laptop or anything. This is a desktop here in a VM, so I really don't need to play with that. And then of course we have the date and time and our calendar, location. Okay, and we could edit location. I mentioned earlier if I had set the wrong locale, I could probably change things. I could also change the clock format. We're on a 24-hour format. I could set it to 12-hour format if I wanted to. We could also show seconds. If I wanted to show the time in seconds, tick that back off. We can show the temperature and the weather if we had a location set. I did not enter any kind of local information to get weather, so pretty standard stuff. If I right-click on the desktop and choose Change Desktop Background, does it offer us, any kind of customization for things like, changing the background, changing the themes? It is the default Mate wallpaper pack, so nothing extra. This is the standard wallpaper pack that comes with Mate. So same wallpapers we've seen a million times before. They're really nice, the Mate background wallpaper pack. But yeah, nothing extra. I'll play around with a couple of them. Yeah, since we have a light theme here, the silver bars at the top and bottom, we really need a dark wallpaper. So give me something really dark for contrast. Yeah, that's not bad. So I'm going to hit close on that, and I'll go with that kind of night sky theme. A little bit of a aurora effect going on with the wallpaper. Not bad. Dark wallpapers really contrast well with light themes, and vice versa. Light wallpapers work with dark themes. The window theme, I can live with. The icon themes, nothing to write home about. I'm sure you could go out and download icon packs and wallpaper packs and everything and really jazz OpenIndiana up a little bit, but for what it is, seems like a really nice operating system. Of course, it's, a Unix-based operating system. It was based on the old OpenSolaris, which was, had some corporate backing for a while, with Oracle and Sun Microsystems. Now, of course, OpenIndiana is really a kind of a community-based Unix distribution, but it is a project of the Illumos Foundation. So I don't know what kind of money is behind this. I really am not sure, how much of a following this operating system has. I don't know how many people actually use OpenIndiana. I'm really not sure what this is geared for, if I'm being totally honest. But, it is what it is. It's a really nice, old school, kind of retro-looking Mate desktop environment. And the package manager seems to be pretty fast. I will say it is installing those 562 packages pretty fast. It's already on package 226. The speed is pretty good. So no complaints there. Overall, yeah, OpenIndiana, I will probably check up on OpenIndiana. Maybe the next time they have a major release. This ISO was a little older, but the next release, yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I'm kind of glad that I did check it out. Not a bad operating system. Before I go, this show right here, this show was made possible by Ansem, Carlos, David, Leor, and Rob. Those guys, they're the producers of this show. They make this content possible. Also brought to you by these fine ladies and gentlemen. You see their names on the screen. These are my patrons, my Patreon supporters. If you enjoy this video and you enjoy the content you see on this channel, please consider joining me over on Patreon. Look for DistroTube on Patreon. Thanks, guys. Peace.